guys, it is Michelle with As the Table Turns here interviewing Christina Parisi. First time meeting, not face to face, but on Zoom, I guess. So I'm super excited about this. All right, so how long have you been in the industry?
So, gosh, this is about to date me, but I've been in the industry 23 years. And I started at 20 as a hostess, but I started serving that same year. So I've pretty much been serving for 23 years.
Okay, awesome.
I tried bartending for a year and a half and I hated it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I always felt like everyone holds bartenders in a higher prestige, and I'm like, I hated it. I felt like I was being hijacked behind the bar, and you can't leave, and you know.
Exactly. And it's like you're just in this little tiny bubble and people just shouting at you and
snapping fingers and yelling at you, and you're just like, no, I don't want to sit my whole shift, you know? What is the main thing that has kept you in the industry for that amount of time?
If you want to know the truth, it's money.
Yeah.
Being in Los Angeles, it's very easy to make really good money.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
That is the number one thing, but to be honest, the number two thing is being around food and wine. I love it. Like I actually really dig the industry, and I like working with chefs,
nice.
And I like working with servers and food. So that would be the second.
Nice. That's awesome. Hey, money's a good thing. We all need it to pay our bills, so you know.
Right? May I ask, what about yourself? What keeps you working in the biz?
I have a love-hate relationship, but it's the people and the pace. Like I don't do well sitting behind a desk, and I've done a couple of office jobs and I'm swinging in my chair and going crazy. So I don't like repetitive work, and the industry is repetitive, but every day is different too. Like every customer is different, so it's always a new story, a new, drama, something.
You're absolutely right. Part of the fun.
Yeah. When did you shut down?
So we shut down mid-March. It was right when the Los Angeles political scene said you have to.
Okay.
And then so we shut down though. Initially it was like they told you kind of like 2 weeks.
Sure.
But it lasted longer. And then when it hit, I think, was it June when they said you could open for in dining? We did. And we went back for like 2 weeks, and then we're shut down again.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I did go back, and then, yeah.
That's crazy. So you're pretty on pace for us, except for we haven't re-shut down yet. But I feel like once the patio season's done, I feel like when everything moves indoors, we're going to be shut down in October.
And I'm sorry, I should say that too. There is just like, I think a very skeleton crew doing a very little patio service.
Okay.
But we're such a large indoor facility that everyone's just trying to survive, but the bulk of us have not returned.
Okay.
So you have not, so I'm sorry, you have not re-shut down, but you guys did shut down initially?
We shut down in mid-March also, and then we reopened the beginning of June for, I can't remember what percentage it was at first, and then it was just outdoor or something. I don't even remember. It keeps changing so often. We're in Minnesota, so it's starting to get really cold now. So patio shifts are getting cut and stuff. So I feel like once we move indoors, we'll probably get shut down again just because everyone will be inside,
How is the East Coast going to survive this? Because it drops into freezing temps.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it's ridiculous. And we're talking about getting like a tent on the patio and heated tents, but those are so hard to maintain the temperature that I just feel like it's going to be a nightmare too,
If it's not enclosed, you're going to get that massive either wind or draft.
Well, even if it's enclosed, because I've worked in those where there's, sides on it and everything, but it's hard to maintain depending on how big the tent is, obviously. But if you're on one end and there's heaters, in the middle or something, it doesn't circulate everywhere. So people complain and move, and it's going to be a nightmare.
Right. It's like the people buy it are happy and then these are not happy.
Right, exactly. I want to get closer to the heater, same like I want to sit in the sun. It's going to be the same kind of deal, but different. So what are you most looking forward to returning?
I really miss, besides the money, I really miss the hustle bustle. Like there is an energy in a restaurant that is in sync, like when the back of the house and the front of the house, and we're all just jiving, and you just have so much going on, but we're all working. I love that so much. I miss it.
Sure.
I miss it a lot. Yeah. It's easy to say this when I haven't waited tables in a while.
Yeah. Funny. So true. So what's your biggest concern about returning?
Honestly, my biggest concern is the new restrictions and like what we have to go through. Sure. As far as safety, I feel like there's a risk being in food service. I mean, think about like what we touch. Like, I feel like I've always kind of known, look, there's a risk.
Right.
And I guess I am willing to, I'm okay with that risk at this point. However, I don't know if I can do the whole like mask, shield,
Yeah.
uniform, and then like also when you're standing by a heater. I don't know if
Right.
that's my biggest concern, is that my body's just going to be like, no, you don't want to do this.
Yeah.
What about you? Like, what is a concern? I'm always curious.
My biggest issue has been I can't do a mask, so I've been doing the face shield, and it's really tough. I mean, that's taken its toll on me mentally and physically. You know, we're working in 90 degrees and humidity, running our asses off with the face covering. I don't know who made up this deal, but, and I feel like, you know, I joked when we first shut down, like, we've probably already been exposed in the industry, or we're safe because we've been exposed to so many other things by touching people's dirty dishes, dirty silverware, whatever. And I wasn't worried about that, but the face shield's been tough. So I don't know how the girls do it with the mask when I'm working. I can't even imagine.
When I went back for the 2 weeks and I did have to, like, you know, wear all of that, I'm not gonna lie, at the end of the shift, I found myself like crying because I couldn't do it. I was literally, perspiration was dripping down my face. My entire mask facial region got red because I think I was just talking so much.
Oh, sure.
And it was just like, my body rejected it.
Oh, for sure. And that's some of the girls that I work with have said, like, I've gone home and I'm coughing at night, or I can't sleep, my chest feels awful. So it's not ideal conditions, obviously. I mean, it's tough. It makes it a lot harder for sure. Even if you're in the peak of health, I feel like it's still.
Right. As if serving wasn't hard enough. Now we got this whole extra element to contend with, you know?
What did COVID teach you?
What did it teach me?
Yeah. Just about life, work, whatever. I mean, you're not working in the restaurant. So yeah, what did it teach you?
That is a really good question, Michelle. You know, I think, well, okay, the first thing that immediately comes to mind is that I just did a 30 days dry of no alcohol. And I was being a little excessive with it. And so now as a whole, I think what it really taught me is to make sure moderation still plays a big role, because it's easy to get a little carried away when you're home and you're not doing your normal things. So for me, that's something that taught me, was like, whoa, you could very easily slip off that moderation wagon. So
enough in this industry for sure to stay dry, and then add in the pandemic and the stress of that, and not having your normal routine, and maybe having a purpose through the day, or like a schedule that you're sticking to somewhat, you know, it makes it tougher for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And also I think COVID has taught me to be like more of a patient person, because you know, I don't know about you, but like before COVID hit, there were days I didn't sit down, you know, and like,
Right.
you know, and you're just like, you don't, I feel like COVID kind of made me, patience, you know, things are shutting down, so you can't work as fast as you wanted to. So patience.
Right. You got to calm down. It's going to be okay. What do you wish you'd have known 6 months ago?
Okay. I wish I would have known, because when this first hit, I was naive. I thought it was going to be like a month, and then,
right.
you know, and then we were going to kind of all get back to business. So I wish I would have known a little bit more of how politics were going to play a role into it. Right. And then also how different states have very different needs. Like, I didn't think about any of that when it first started.
Oh, for sure. I'm not too far from Wisconsin, and I grew up in Wisconsin. So going over there and then coming back, like 15 minutes drive, it's insane. The mentality difference and everything. It's so crazy.
This is like really the United States of America. Like, we are all doing things, you know, on a different level, but I suppose we have to, because everyone is getting hit in different ways, and population. And
I understand.
I really wish I would have thought about that a little bit more back in March.
I feel like a lot of people too thought, oh, it's only going to be for like a few weeks, a month, whatever. And here we are 6 months later, or whatever it is. It's like
6 months later.
I didn't see this coming, and it's funny because I did feel like it was going to last longer. I guess I didn't feel like it would last this long. You know, I had friends and they're like, oh, it's going to be over in a month. We'll be back to work. I'm like, no, I'm watching the other countries. That's not happening that fast.
Well, what do you think? What do you foresee for the industry? Like, what do you think's to come?
Part of me was worried that the industry has changed, obviously, with the extra precautions and stuff, but I was worried that we were going to be replaced by robots, and maybe we will. But I feel like people can't do this without us either. I mean, they've proven that by how they're behaving when they go back out in public or just go out in public. It's like, you need us to walk you through the simplest thing as reading the menu or whatever.
That's an excellent point. Our value is really being shown.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting thing because, yeah, like I said, I was panicked at first, like, oh my gosh, what does this mean for the future, for my books and my products and stuff and the industry? And obviously it's going to change, but we're not going anywhere because they need us and they've proven that. What do you think is going to happen?
I love what you said. I hadn't actually thought about that, but that's a really solid point because I'm seeing that. But what I think sadly is going to happen is a lot of places are going to shut down. I'm just seeing so many in Los Angeles, like places that I love, places where I know the chef, and not even restaurants, you know, businesses, retail. But for the industry of what we're speaking of, I feel like it's going to get hit bad.
Yeah.
Because of like what you said, like summer months are easier because the weather's not that big of a factor yet. And commuting's not that big of a factor yet. But once you start adding all that, people aren't going to even probably do to go as much, you know? And
for sure.
I worry that a lot of restaurants are going to go under, and not rightfully so, you know, not because they really did anything wrong. It's just that the situation dictated that they can't open for business. And it kind of makes me really sad. But I guess to look at the silver lining, maybe this gives the restaurant industry an opportunity to redefine itself, maybe be a little skimmer, you know, maybe also start letting people understand that when you come into a restaurant, you are not just paying for that food in front of you.
Absolutely.
You know, I feel like that's going to be a lot more prevalent now, that understanding of, look, you're paying for the architecture, the staff, the heating, the water. You're paying way more than just that food.
Oh, for sure. And I feel like people don't realize that right now, but yeah, they're starting to for sure.
And I think that will be a good thing.
I agree for sure. It'll be, you know, yeah, you're paying for the whole experience, not just your steak.
Exactly. And so I also think the experience is missed.
Yeah.
You have to weather this storm in order to get there. And this storm is nasty.
It's taken its toll on a lot of places, and I agree with you. It's sad to see there's a lot of places that have closed here, and there's, you know, probably every week we get updated on what's closing. It's going to be definitely a case of only the strong survive, and unfortunately some of it's going to be the people with deep pockets, and that's all. Not the experience, not the passion, not the drive. It's going to be the deep pockets, which is unfortunate for a lot of people.
That's a great point. I agree. You know, and it's sad to see like a lot of these mom and pops that have just worked so hard for what they've achieved just get.
And I feel like they're the ones definitely that are going to be the hardest hit, which is just sad.
Right. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Like I said, they're the people that are feeding their families. It's not just a corporation, and, you know, they actually care, and they're there working most of the time too. So it's like, okay, this sucks for them.
It does. And that's also, I don't know about where you are, but in LA, a lot of those mom and pops are where you go to get like the authentic cuisine, the really good food, you know, and that's going to be tremendously missed. Like, I don't know how much you follow Jonathan Gold. He was the food critic for the LA Times. He was a big supporter of the Los Angeles food scene. And one of the main things he would say is that any kind of food you wanted, you could find a really great mom and pop place and go enjoy. And now I'm kid you not, Michelle, I am just seeing those places close and for leave and just getting ripped and torn down. And it's just like, it's changing the landscape of Los Angeles.
Oh, I bet, for sure. And I'm sure, the food scene's huge out there. It was. So that's a big deal to lose a ton of restaurants like that, for sure.
What's the food scene like out there?
You know, unfortunately, I feel like there is a lot of mom and pops, but I feel like there's more chains than anything, which is unfortunate. You know, there's communities that I've lived in, worked in, that it's all changed. There's not, you know, smaller communities of like maybe 20,000 or whatever, but they just have chains. You drive down the main street and it's all chains, and that's gross to me, but they're going to be the ones that survive for the most part.
Are they surviving right now in your area?
Yeah, they seem to be.
Same here.
I don't know how busy they are, because it sucks because I haven't really gone out. Hardly at all. So
hardly at all. Me too.
The servers are working so hard. I feel bad that they're face covered and running their asses off. I'm like, I can't afford to tip them 100%, but I feel like that's what they deserve because it is so hard. So it's just it's just tough, and I don't know, I just don't like some of the politics about it either. So it's just easier to not fight the battles and just stay home. And I've done a lot more cooking, and like we started canning and stuff, so that's been fun. But
Are you doing like jams and sauces?
we're not doing that yet. We've done some salsa, but mostly like canned beets or like pickled beets and Bloody Mary veggies and stuff like that. So hopefully we're going to sell them at the farmer's market next summer. So kind of a transition from that to this.
Awesome. I love that. How many years have you been in the industry?
Oh man, my son is, yeah, probably about 24 also.
Okay, yeah, so you've been around
Yeah.
listening to me. We
I've,
watched it.
yeah. I've seen it all for sure.
Nothing like this though.
Yeah.
Nothing like
Oh,
this.
yeah. If someone would have told me this was coming, I would have never believed them for sure.
Same here. I like just back when you think about February and everyone's all excited because the holidays are on Saturdays, and it's just like, what? What just happened then?
Oh, for sure. And it sucks because I felt like 2019 was a tough year for me. So I was like, okay, 2020 is going to be my year. I'm going to do great things this year. And then it was like, oh man. And March is a huge month in St. Paul for like sports and stuff. Normally like we're by the XL. So it's, wild games, and there's a ton of March Madness, like hockey games, and St. Patty's Day is a big deal. And nope, we shut down.
That was all canceled.
Yeah.
That was right at the start, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think we shut down the day before St. Patty's Day, so a lot of people lost a lot of money. On St. Patrick's Day, some of the servers and bartenders make $1,000 in that shift. It's a long shift, but that's one shift, and it took its toll.
That's so sad because that also, in addition to the servers doing very well, I'm sure that was probably a lot of sales for the restaurant too. And then to not get that anymore, it just makes me so sad.
Well, it's sad too when I walk past the XL where the concerts and the wild games and stuff were, and just it's empty. There's lights haven't been on since March. I mean, rarely.
What are they doing with that space? Are they doing it? Is it just completely vacated?
I feel like they've had some events in there, but not many at all. So it's too bad.
It really is. It's a shame. Can I ask, like, do you think that it's going to, things will start opening in the start of the new year? Do you think we're in this for even the longer haul? I'm just curious.
Optimistically, I'm hoping the new year, but I would say maybe not until March, to be honest with you, which is terrifying.
No, it really is terrifying.
What do you think?
If I had to surmise, I think that when the East Coast gets hit with the weather, right, I think things are going to start changing. I don't know how or in what way, but unless there's just massive amounts of businesses going under, we're going to have to figure out a way to get back indoors.
I agree. At some point, we have to re-enter the world too. I mean, it's right, but I feel like, we have to at some point get back to, I don't know what the new normal is, but we have to do some kind of living. We can't just shut ourselves indoors for the whole time. That's not good for our immune systems either,
Absolutely. So I guess, as we're both saying, it's kind of like a crapshoot. Who the heck knows what is going to happen? But I think there's many of us that want to strive to reopen and try to get there. But I like kind of more like a choice.
Right. And that's funny because that's how it is I was working once in a while in Wisconsin, and they had a sign on the door that basically said, we're not going to ask you, we're not requiring masks, do what you're comfortable with. We're not going to require our staff to. It's all about comfortable, and we're going to assume that you can't wear it for whatever reason, and it's none of our business. Do what you're comfortable with. So I was like,
right, and don't come in if you don't feel comfortable.
We appreciate your business, but do what you're comfortable with, but there's going to be people here not wearing masks, basically. And
right.
I was like, why can't this just be everywhere? And I never saw maybe 2 people wear masks the entire time.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's Wisconsin, though. I feel like it's its own world, too. They're like, whatever, fuck the mask.
So fascinating. It's just, which also makes me just wonder so much.
I feel like there's a lot to wonder for sure. It's like, okay.
Right, Michelle, right?
What's the story here? I don't know. Initially, I didn't panic too much at first because I was like, again, we've been exposed to so many things that we're probably good. So
literally, I think if you're a server, you have such a strong immunity.
Right, exactly.
Because think about all the gross things we do. We have been around.
dishwater splashed in our face, our eyes, like.
Okay, I have nightmares of the silverware dumpster.
If you've had that happen, you're probably immune to COVID, so it's gonna be
Exactly. Exactly. If you've had silverware dump water on you in any way, you're good. You're not getting that. No, I'm kidding.
You're not getting anything. You don't even need shots. We talked about the sobriety thing for the month. So what was the biggest challenge for you?
The first week. Like I kept kind of trying to convince myself it wasn't necessary. I was like, oh, come on. Like I just kept trying to convince myself. The first week was so hard.
Oh, I bet.
Which also makes me, which also kind of motivated me because I was like, wait, Christina, it should not be this hard.
Right. You can do this.
You can do this. And so my husband did it with me in support. And so that was really nice because he just let me, like, we watched movies, we binged TV shows. And so I kind of tried to keep my mind off of it on the weekends.
Right. Oh, for sure.
And that was another thing that was really important to do is just like, because the weekends, happy hours, drinks, it was such a part of my life. And
oh, for sure.
So weekends in the first week were the hardest part, but then after the fourth week, which just hit this past weekend, in hindsight, I looked back and I was like, whoa, that ended up being really fast.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But hindsight's 2020, so it's always perfect in hindsight.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like unfortunately the industry has made it, socially acceptable to drink all the time. I mean, I worked at jobs where we were doing shots on our shift and we used to joke like, if you haven't been sent home for being too drunk, do you even work here? And but that was the reality.
And you've heard of shift drinks, right? Like where every shift you work, you get a drink.
Yep.
And then not only that, you're around it, you're serving it, you're pouring it, you're tasting it. It's like, it's hard. I think if I had to say the one thing about being a server, that has been a hard thing is being around alcohol so much.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I agree. It's insane. So what was the most rewarding thing about being dry for a month?
So I lost 6 pounds. So I was really happy.
That's awesome.
But only because I say that only because I was like bloated. So I feel like I feel healthier. And I think that's the benefit because my sleep's better.
Sure.
So I think those two things, like the healthier feel in the body and then the sleep is makes me want to do it like maybe every 6 months.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried it?
The last time I did like a 6 month sober was my nephew was killed in a car accident. So it was like, I can't drink because I'm afraid of what I'm going to do. Like I was so angry and had a lot of emotions. So I took 6 months off. So that was good, but it was under terrible circumstances. So I've done, like, we take breaks. I drank more than I should for sure. And I was doing so good when the shutdown first happened. And then when I went back to work, I was actually super depressed. Like I had a hard time with, like I said, the face shield, and customers were just like, nobody wants to make eye contact, or it's not the personal, like, hey, how's it going? Nobody wants to talk. Like everyone's afraid.
Yeah.
So I had a really hard time. So July and August were tough. I was definitely drinking more often. It's like, okay, I'm taking a break for X amount of days, which is fine. I can do that. And I don't need to drink every day. But yeah, when you don't have really a set schedule, it's like, okay, well, what does it matter? But it's like, it does matter because you have goals that you're trying to accomplish. Like, get your shit together. So
you hit the nail. It's like easy. It's so easy, and it's like, sometimes you just have to tell yourself, well, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right, exactly. Well, and it was funny. I had, all my friends were like, oh, I've, gained 15 pounds or whatever when the shutdown, and I actually lost a little bit of weight when the shutdown happened. But then I feel like I'm slowly gaining it back.
You're the only one that lost weight when the shutdown happened.
I was so excited, and then I'm like, but it is like I'm more bloated. It's not even necessarily that I'm gaining weight. It's just like, okay, well, and that's my biggest thing. Like, why I want to take breaks. Like, I want to lose 20 pounds, and I know. Having the wine, or I used to drink ciders, but I don't drink them anymore just because there's so much sugar. But it's like, okay, you need to do
good though.
I know.
I know. I hear you because I also feel that it's sometimes really easy to go to work and then come home and you just kind of want. It's not like I'm not making excuses, but I'm not. It's not like you need it.
Right.
It's just kind of like calms that whole frenetic energy you just went through.
Oh, for sure. The decompressing. And then also if you're hanging out with your friends after work, you're going to bitch about, oh, did you see what this customer did? Or, you know, this manager or whatever. So it's like the commiserating too with your coworkers is a huge part of it.
I know when you, after like you have a drink with all your coworkers and you could just like relate to each other and it like, because there are some nasty people out there.
There really are. I mean, there's some amazing ones, but there's some horrible, horrible people. It's like,
right. There are amazing ones, but there, man, some people still fail to surprise me.
Yeah. Well, I feel like people, maybe they're already horrible, but they've gotten worse since we reopened. It's like, how are you? You guys wanted to be open so bad. Now, why are you treating people like crap? I just don't understand it, you know?
Right. Was it you that wrote that really funny thing about someone asked you to like change the weather?
Yeah, it might have been. I don't even remember, but
I'm pretty sure it was you. Like a
happened,
customer asked you like to do something about the weather.
Yeah, I've had, yes. The wind especially was one thing. It's like, I'm not Mother Nature. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do about this.
Like, we're good, but we're not that good.
Right, and you're sitting on the patio, so these are risks you have to take. Like, I don't know. Do you want me
My favorite are the people sitting on the patio and a bug flies into their wine. There's a bug in my wine. No. Yes, because you're outside and it just flew in there.
It's like hornet season or something here. So, and we have a lot of breakfast, a lot of sweet, you know, syrup and stuff. So they're just flocking to people. And like last week I had people literally moving to 3 different tables on the patio. I understand if you were moving from the patio to inside to get away from them.
Right.
Like, how are you surprised that they're following you? If they showed up at the first table, they're going to come to the other 2. It's astounding to me how stupid people are sometimes.
You know what? I'm with you. I shouldn't be surprised anymore, but I still get surprised.
I know. I feel the same way. Like, okay, nothing should surprise me anymore. But again, crazy shit all the time.
No, I actually really did once get asked if there was chicken in the chicken Caesar.
No, I believe it.
Yep. I was like, yeah. Like, how do you even answer that kind of question?
And that's the thing. How do you answer those questions without sounding like a total bitch?
Right. Without sounding like condescending.
Right. Because that was one of my first cartoons too, was someone asked, is there chicken on the chicken BLT? Well, it's in the name. So I don't, what do you figure? Like, I don't know. I don't know how to say this without being rude. It's amazing. So, all right. So you're a writer too. So what article or articles are you most proud of that you've written?
Oh, well, first, thank you, because you are such a supporter of the articles I write about the restaurant industry.
They're awesome.
And
I love it.
I really appreciate your support and your fans' support.
Right.
I love writing articles about the restaurant industry. Like, one, as we've said, there's endless material, literally endless material.
Sure. It writes itself sometimes, you know? I feel like
it does. But also what's really fun about writing about restaurants is the response I get from those of us who work in the restaurant industry.
Sure.
We are such a, I mean, I don't mean to generalize, but the restaurant industry is tight.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? And we relate to each other on that level very well. And I love like hearing feedback or having people read those articles that work in the industry and then like tell me their own stories. So my favorite article is one I wrote maybe a year or 2 ago, and it was about why waiting tables is a real job.
Yeah.
And that's the one I get the most response to as well. And so that would be my favorite article. And because I hate it when people say that serving isn't a real job. It's like, you're absolutely wrong. That's just the bottom line. And here's why.
Yeah, and that was a good article too. I remember, I feel like the material is so relatable, especially, and I feel like everyone should work in the industry because then everyone would know how to behave and what not to do and stuff. But yeah, it's so relatable. And it is like a family, even though it's dysfunctional most of the time.
Massively.
What is your spirit animal?
Oh, I love that question. What's my spirit animal? If I had, you know what? I don't really know astrology that well, but I'm a Leo. Okay. And I do really tend to relate to the lions, the female lions, because they're strong and they like to get the job done.
That's awesome.
So I think I would be a lion.
That's awesome.
What about you? You got to tell me.
Well, it's funny that I didn't know you were going to ask me, but I'm wearing my zebra onesie because I had a crappy day. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this interview in a zebra onesie and it's going to turn my mood around, whatever. But the zebra for sure, because everyone's unique and different. Yeah, their stripes are all different, and they're wild and free.
Yeah, I like that. Right on.
Before, but yeah, I didn't expect you to ask it, but I like it. If you had to pick a song to play every time, one song to play every time you entered a room, what song would you pick?
That's a fun question. If you had to play a song every time you entered a room, okay, it would be A Day in the Life by the Beatles for two reasons.
Okay.
One, it's like two songs in one. If you listen to it, it starts a particular way, and I sing it. It comes out of my mouth. And then it goes into this like really weird bridge to like a brand new song.
Yeah.
And it motivates me.
That's so funny. That's awesome.
What about you? Okay, now I'm going to ask.
I do. Oh,
I know it's hard, but it's fun.
Yeah, I didn't even think about this one. Right now, I've been listening to "The Whole of the Moon" by the Waterboys like on repeat daily. So I would pick that song right now just because I love it. I don't know why.
Heck yeah.
I hadn't listened to it in a while, and something triggered it a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, you know what? I'm listening to this on repeat like 75 times. My boyfriend's like, why the fuck are you listening to this over and over? I don't know.
You know what? That's cool. I like it. That's your song.
Just because. All right,
Yeah.
last question. Everyone has a good app idea. What is yours?
I love your questions. They're so fun.
Some of them I found, I didn't come up with them on my own. I was like, I need some fun questions. I can't just ask industry questions, you know?
Oh, we'll take the credit because these are good questions. No, I'm just wow. You know what? I actually would love an app that is like voice activated and it just about passwords. I know there's apps out there that like, you could mix all your, like, it will tell you your passwords, but they all confuse me.
Sure.
So I literally want something to be like, like I could just do it and I don't have to do anything. It finds my password. It finds my email that I used.
Yeah.
And that's it. I don't care where you're pulling it from, but that's the app I want.
That's funny. That's a good idea because I don't keep track of my passwords very well, and then it's forget password, and then can't use the password you used last time. Like, I just entered this. I swear to God.
I know. It's like, it literally, I will spend like a whole 15 minutes trying to put in a password that I literally set like a week ago.
Oh, yeah.
Drives me nuts.
Same here. And then just to get into an email or something stupid, like.
I've given up before. I'm going to be honest. I've just given up.
I believe that for sure. I'm in the same boat. It was fun chatting with you. Thank you so much.
Oh, Michelle, this was so much fun. Thank you for asking me.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
all right,
cool. So much. Have a good night, Christina. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Michelle. Have a good night.